It's DTS 159 and the beta has been extended just a few days, but we go over our feedback from the PvE and PvP experience. All that and more coming up.
You're listening to Destiny, the show.
What's good, everybody, and welcome to Destiny, the show, the Destiny news podcast to keep you, the Guardian, ahead of the curve in the world of Destiny. Ditty, how was your time with the beta this last week? How much time did you have?
A few hours. I actually started a new job on Monday, so I didn't get to play as much beta as I would have liked because I had to learn some new things.
Well, you were streaming a lot. You streamed quite a bit of your time with the beta.
I streamed a few days, yeah. So just a few hours or so. After we record here, I'm going to play some more Titan because I have the least amount of time played on that one. But played Arcstrider and Voidwalker. Those were my go-tos. And Arcstrider is great. You know, I think I am in the severe minority when I say I actually really like the twirl reload ability.
You are in the minority. I do not agree.
I mean, I think it's, I don't know, whatever. We'll move on. We'll talk about it a little bit later. Voidwalker, I think, is fantastic. I think Voidwalker is super good right now. The fact that you can detonate the fact that you can detonate the Nova Bomb early by shooting it yourself is cool. Just blows my mind.
It's cool. I liked that the Hunters did have some button combos with them, but dude, I got time with every subclass. I put in probably 9-ish hours, I would say, and almost all of that is in PvP doing control. Hands down, I think the best subclass was the Dawnblade. Hands down, dude. That thing was so stinking fun. I think Healing Rift, I don't like it being in the game, but I think it's one of the most powerful abilities that there is. You want to reset that stupidly long health regen timer? Oh, just step into my Rift. You want to get a little bit of an overshield? Just hang out in my Rift a little bit longer, man. Let me rub your back while we're here. Oh, is that an enemy? Don't worry. They'll have trouble shooting through that shield, buddy. So today's show, we're going to talk about the controversy that was going down this last week because the front page of Reddit was exploding with what the heck, Bungie? Why on earth are the ability respawn timers so stinking long? Did you just damage PvE for the sake of PvP? We'll talk about that, Bungie's response to it in the weekly update, skill-based matchmaking in the Destiny 2 beta for both quick play and competitive, and we'll also be doing our impressions. That's really the backbone of today's show is Ditty and I's first experiences with the beta, talking about our time, the things we liked and the things we didn't like. So why don't we hop into the news? Ditty, the beta has been extended, has it not?
It has. So if you're watching this early or listening to this early on in the week, the beta has been extended to roughly 6 p.m. EST on July 25th. So
Pacific time, 6 p.m. Pacific time.
Yes, thank you.
That'd be 9 p.m. EST.
Yep, there you go. So roughly that time. So you get a few extra days with the beta, get those extra control matches in, or what is it called? The countdown, of course. Or, play the strike a couple more times. Restart those characters, do another subclass, and just have some fun with it.
Yep. Now, all the footage from today's show is going to probably be, or the most of it, going to be the farm, Ditty, because I got in there for the last 25 minutes. And I just want to say a few things about the farm real quick. It's bigger. It seems bigger. Maybe it's not bigger than the original tower, but it felt like a spacious environment. I loved the extended player count. It really fell, and you probably can tell from the footage for those of you guys watching on YouTube, I had a completely full social space in the farm. And for the majority of it, we all went over and played soccer. And there's like 13 or 14 Guardians all crowding around this ball. It's lagging itself complete. I mean, it's just insanity. Have you ever seen like kindergartners or like 6 and 7-year-old soccer games where it's just a little circle that follows the ball as they smash each other's shins? That's what it was, dude. And the ball, like 2 people hit the ball at the same time, and it was just a coin flip where it was going to go. And it was a really good time. I don't know why. The only reason I think they made the farm like that 1 hour thing. By the way, I was still in the farm at like 12:05. I had to leave to go get some lunch, but why just an hour? Are they doing it just specifically saying what happens when we flood everybody into one singular space? Will our servers handle it?
Yeah, basically, yeah. The reason for this one is not to test the graphics or how the vendors work or anything. It's a networking and server load balance standpoint. Because if you think about it, it's capped, right? The instance, right? You said it's
10 more than the original social space.
10 more than the original social space, exactly. So each server, so you have like server 1 through 100,000, right? Each having that group of people, right? They want to see how well that load balancer works and how the connection is handled there. And how those servers can handle everyone logging in at the same time. Basically, pretend it's launch day, right? Obviously, Sunday afternoon is not the peak time that people are playing Destiny, but it's actually a pretty good test. It gives you a good test group to focus group. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Good focus to really understand what's happening network and server side. So that's why they did this one.
I see indeed. Well, I'm happy it's being extended because I had a lot of fun with it this last week. Controversy time. A lot of major news outlets were reporting that the Destiny community hates Destiny 2. I actually saw this Ditty on The Know, which is Rooster Teeth's news program. And I know those guys love Bungie games, Red vs. Blue in the background, So when I'm seeing this press, I'm like, what? How could this be? If you go to the front page of the Destiny the Game subreddit throughout this last week, you will have seen a lot of unanimous feedback saying ability timers feel really long. So long that in PvE, it really never feels like my grenade's up. My grenade doesn't feel that strong. My super I rarely ever get, and it doesn't feel that strong in PvE. Bungie, did you just inherently damage PvE with your emphasis on a more competitive PvP sandbox? Now, I'm framing the argument. This is not necessarily my opinion. I'm just trying to tell you guys the context of what's going on. Because Thursday, this week at Bungie releases, and we hear from beta design lead Rob Engel about sort of this, addressing it face on. And I quote, "The PvE game tuning has changed pretty significantly since the beta build was deployed," end quote, real quick. The beta build is 2 months old. They did want to reinforce with us that it's an older build that we were trying today. And they had a lot of the same feedback that we did, and I'll resume the quote. "For example, we too felt that ammo, especially power ammo, was too scarce in PvE. In addition to retuning the drop rates, we built a system that guarantees power ammo drops for you and your fire team from certain enemies, giving power weapons a more reliable and predictable role in your arsenal. Other areas where we've made significant tuning changes include grenade effectiveness in PvE, boss vitality, and weapon damage against NPCs," end quote. Now, Ditty, this is actually an interesting little quote here because it addresses the power ammo. It addresses the sponginess of the bosses, our weapon damage. But did you notice something absent from this quote?
Yeah, the ability cooldowns, not specifically mentioned. The only ability thing they mentioned was, giving the grenades a little bit more damage in PvE, making them a little bit more effective against non-PvP or Guardian-controlled combatants.
Yeah. That was... It really stood out to me in rings like, can you guys not tune PvE timers separate of PvP timers? Because if you can't... why? That's something that could be extremely helpful and provide for you that more competitive PvP sandbox where you maybe do want the grenade only coming up every 45 or 50 seconds. We know that they have the ability, Ditty, to implement like a daybreak style modifier that can increase your ability cooldown timers, or make them less, I guess. So maybe they can do that on the back end. I don't know. It's just, I think it's a valid concern, don't you think? Like when you were playing throughout this week, on the PvE side of things, it did feel like those abilities were fairly scarce.
Yeah, you know me, I love throwing grenades every now and then, but, I don't want to... I just want to say, like, yeah, I understand it might be a valid concern, but also we've only seen a very small fraction of the game, so maybe there are those gear perks or modifiers for the weapons, or modifiers for the robes on your warlock or the boots on your hunter or whatever that give you those types of ability cooldowns quicker, right? You have Grenadier on in Destiny 1 right now. Kills with this weapon decrease the cooldown of your grenade by 10% every time you get a kill. And in PvE, I run Grenadier on my IS Luna all the time because I just have a grenade all the time. Plus, Also, we're used to having like max intellect, discipline, and strength builds.
Yep.
So obviously, okay, for context, right? Someone did the math on the internet, and they said the ability cooldown timers are actually slower than tier 0 in Destiny 1. That could be maybe they want to slow those abilities down, right? But also, if you ran tier 5 intellect and discipline all the time in Destiny 1 since Rise of Iron, I mean, that significantly drops your ability cooldown. So I think if we think of it in the context of endgame, we were not at endgame in the beta. So I think there is room to grow there. I think I'm still going to hold out hope that there are those abilities or modifiers that we can actually implement into our gear sets to increase and improve upon those cooldowns. I don't think that it's going to be quite as good as it was, but I think that'll help at least.
Okay, good point. Yeah. I don't know if, I guess it's hard because this clearly was more of a tech test style beta than it was, hey, we'd love to hear what you think about the sandbox, because this is an older build. I do hope that when the full release gets here and we get that full arsenal, we have exotics, we understand the gear and the perks in the game, I do hope that we get to experience more of those abilities in PvE, because it's not just a looter shooter. Destiny has the element of your classes and the abilities that make it something really special. Anyway, that was sort of the situation. You had the hate and the upsetness from the community on Reddit. I'm not saying the entire community was upset about it, but there was enough to where it was trending on some of the bigger news sites. And then the TWAB addressed saying, hey, we agreed with most of what you were saying, and here's what we're doing to fix it. We'll just have to wait and see what their decisions are regarding abilities. They're probably playing those cards close to their vest at this point, Ditty, because the PvP feedback about it was constant. Speaking of PvP, skill-based matchmaking was in effect for both quick play and competitive, so regardless if you were playing controller countdown, you were getting matched against players your similar skill level. And I quote here from Lars Bakken, the senior Crucible lead designer for Destiny 2. Destiny 2 Crucible matchmaking places a greater emphasis on connection quality, but make no mistake, skill is still a big component in finding worthy opponents for you to fight. End quote. No spoilers there, Ditty. On my 7th PvP match, I solo queued into a game against a team of 3 that had Primal, Ifrost Bolt, and Envisions on it, and it was one of the hardest games I have ever played, dude. We won by a single point, and only because the dude on my team was just... He helped big time, man. It was a lot of fun. So, what to say here? Nothing. I don't want to open the skill-based matchmaking can of worms again. That's an entire show of its own, you know?
I mean, side note, and this is just an addition to what you said there, they also say in the TWAB that quick play skill is tracked separately from competitive skill, so they're going to be separated at least. It was good. Misleading, right? They or I guess misinterpreted, I should say.
No, I agree. It was, I felt a little bit like, hey, I thought
connection was going to be the priority. Like, that was the consensus, right, of the community, or the understanding of the community, that connection-based matchmaking would be the priority. It's the semantics of the phrasing. They're like, no. It's
really important.
It's really important, but skill is still
it's really important too. You know what? Who can say which one matters more? I mean, that's not for me to say.
And I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll swap it to the quick play. You know, maybe eventually down the line they can swap it to be connection-based priority over skill-based in the quick play, and just keep competitive separately. Maybe that might be a possibility. It might be a card on the table. It may not be something that they're pursuing at the moment, but if we provide enough feedback, constructive and not angrily, I think that they can... oh, gosh, there's stuff on my chair that
Ditty, could you stop getting so angry about this?
I'm just
you're destroying your house.
Connection-based, skill-based, just gets me so riled up.
I think it needs to be there at some level. It felt pretty tight, to be honest with you. I played almost 40 games of PvP, and they were hard matches. I was playing, like, it felt exactly like picking up, Destiny 1 right now. I'm playing some tough players, and I like that. I like that they're not super easy, but at the same time, too, my favorite distinction ever was Halo 3 social and ranked.
Yes.
And when I play with my friends, I hear quick play, I go, oh, man, let's go do this, but a lot of times it's like bringing in different varying skill levels of friends. Some are having a good time, and others are like, this is awful. Anyway, that is this week at Bungie. Beta has been extended. Ditty, let's talk about our impressions of the beta in the remaining 15 minutes. I want to start with the campaign mission, then we'll go into the strike and talk about PvP last. So Homecoming.
Campaign mission, man.
It was sweet. I got to say, out of everything in the beta, this is the one that I walk away from feeling the most comfortable about this part of the game. What about you?
It feels like there's a story there. Like it grabbed me, right? It was the hook that Destiny 2 story needed to bring in myself as a Destiny fan. Don't know how it, was received by people who are brand new to Destiny, but it was very clear that, oh no, the planet is in crisis. Oh no, my allies are missing. Oh no, there's a bad guy, and he just defeated me.
Yeah.
So you remember like a year ago we were talking about the story, what it needed, and we said that I don't care about the last city. Why am I protecting these people?
Yep.
This story mission is like, oh yeah, I care now.
Those are my guns in that locker.
Here. Exactly. And Shax is there with his raise ladder that we grinded for him. And he's just like, here, you can use my stuff that I never showed you in the first game.
Yeah, I think the length of the mission and the sort of difficulty of it was the sweet spot. This is like that perfect length of time for the mission. I don't know how, when I played it legit. By the way, I got all three characters, but on the third or fourth time I was doing the campaign, I had to do it a fourth time because I got 75% through with the Titan, and I'm like, I want to go play PvP. And so I pressed the go to orbit button. No, don't do that because you have to do the whole campaign mission again before you can go do PvP. So yeah, the first time I did it when I wasn't trying to just rush through it, I think it was like 15 or 20 minutes. That felt really nice, especially coming off of Rise of Iron where some of those missions are like, scan the point, you're done. Oh, okay, I think you're getting it.
There are a few story missions in some of the later expansions that you literally don't have to kill a single enemy. You just go from point A to point B and finish it.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're not like that in Destiny 2.
I don't think so because like this, yes, you had a few like sub bosses that we got to go through, and you can melt them pretty quick. It is more of a corridor shooter style of game than the Halo 3 sandbox. The way I could sort of think about it, like Halo 3, remember the mission where you first have to beat the Scarab. You've got a bunch of Marines on the Mongoose who all are AI driven, and you're basically given a big playpen. Here's a bunch of weapons, here's some AI, and they're all going to sort of react differently every single time you play it. And it's just a big square that you get to go play in. Destiny 2 is more along the lines of sort of a Call of Duty corridor-esque shooter, which isn't bad because they've made it much more cinematic. Visually, I was like, whoa, I know some people, this looks just like Destiny 1. I'm on a PS4 Pro, and I'm telling you, the rain effects, the volumetric lighting effects, in fact, you should just go check out Digital Foundry's channel. They talk a lot about this. It does look nicer. I think it's very clear instantly in the campaign missions when you actually see the rain blowing in the wind and the rain is reflecting that light in real time. It is pretty. This is a pretty looking game. Does it look similar to Destiny 1? Of course. Is it the same engine? Yeah, it's a modified engine. But I thought visually great. And the jump puzzle, Ditty, the honeycomb jump puzzle. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Clamber, in effect, helping us through that jump puzzle, but still, it was there. It was really nice.
Yeah. So I'm not worried about the campaign after this. I think they're on the right track. Will it be generic? Maybe. But I'm ready to explore more locations and have characters and all that jazz. So,
and I think, to be fair, on your corridor shooter point, Halo did have those moments.
They do too,
and Destiny 2 also has those moments. Of course,
do.
We didn't see it in the story mission very much, but in the strike specifically, right? Before you go to the drill site and you're crossing that plain with all the
that's
Cabal
true. That was a
whatever.
Big open space.
It was a big open space with lots of enemies there, and it does have that nice mixture of things. Of course, didn't see it in the story mission, but doesn't mean there aren't going to be story missions like that. So, but I fully agree. I think the story is set up so well right now because Destiny 1, it was like, Traveler protected us from the darkness, but it's coming back.
Dude, tell me you didn't get the feels when Gaul pushes you over. Don't look at me, worm.
My favorite
ghost
line,
tumbles.
My favorite Gaul line is "Let me reacquaint you with death" or whatever. It was just like chills down my spine. I'm like, I heard that in the trailer, but it was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I was just destroying your army, and now you just kick me off the edge because you defeated me. Oh my goodness.
It was real. I think they succeeded there. Let's transition to the strike, the Inverted Spire. I played 4 times Inverted Spire. And positives first. I thought the length and the difficulty is sweet spot for the strike. It felt longer than a lot of the strikes in Destiny 1, maybe on sort of the longer end side of things, like an Omnigul-esque thing. The encounters were fun, varied, like you said, different size sight lines. The visual components were cool. The digger puzzle the first time was really cool, but then unfortunately you realize that you can sort of just run on a singular path. I wish you could. I wish it was designed to where you had to jump up and down instead of just sort of beelining it on that one goat trail. And the final fight was really cool with the floor disappearing and him slamming the ground. I felt like there was enough things going on for a strike to make it good for public matchmaking. For me, though, I want to see some more of those raid light mechanics, kind of like Echo Chamber, where you need to pick this up, or some of the Age of Triumph strikes, like the reworked Nexus strike. You know what I'm saying? That has the cleanse.
Yeah, exactly. Just some other type of mechanic. Whenever I hear raid mechanic, I immediately think Golgoroth fight, because that takes so much coordination to do it correctly, or I guess the 6 bubble strat.
Yeah.
Something like that inside of a strike, in just the one mechanic inside of a strike would make it really, really awesome, because if you kind of think about it, right, story missions prepare you for strikes, and strikes can prepare you for the raids. So if there are raid-like mechanics in the strikes, it just feels more like a natural progression in the end game, and it would give you more things to do, more things to worry about, more things to just have fun with in the strike. And I'm going to agree with you. I think the strike was very good. It was not as linear as, well, I guess it's linear, okay, but not as, I'm going to say boring, but I didn't think any of the strikes in Destiny 1 were boring, but not as boring as like the original vanilla Nexus strike.
Yeah.
Because Nexus strike is beginning room, next room into a corridor, boss fight. It's a little bit longer than that, a little bit more complex, but it's not as boring this time around. So, but to me, it just felt like a Destiny strike.
It's strike 1.3, not strike 2.0.
Yeah, 1.3. That's yep. I think that's a good one right there. Yep.
Which it's a hard line to balance, because if they make them too hard, we're not trying Nightfall difficulty yet, but if they make them too hard, they're not going to be very fun to queue with randoms. But maybe the difficulty is not what we're getting at here. We're not really asking for more difficult encounters. We're sort of asking for more complicated or creative things to do.
Creative. I think creative is the right word there, yeah.
Yeah. I liked it. The PvE side of things for me, I'm really happy with. I think Bungie will knock that one out of the park. The longevity, I have no idea, because we don't know how much content, but PvE, at least in Destiny 1, anytime we've raided, I've always left going, that was awesome. That was really, really awesome. So I'm not worried about it that much with Destiny 2. It's just, I hope for a 2.0 experience across the board, and there's tons of strikes that we're going to see and experience that Luke Smith and Mark Noseworthy are like, we are not showing you this because you're going to have your mind blown. Ditty, there were some hidden sectors, some pikes that you could get after, and some like secret little cubbies hidden away. So of course it wasn't a Bungie beta without Easter eggs,
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised. I found some Fallen on Nessus during the strike, so I was like,
what could they be doing
the strike
there?
Is Vex and Cabal, but there's these Fallen over here. Ooh, let me kill this Vandal over here real quick. Wasn't Randall the Vandal, didn't show up. I was expecting him, but
man,
it was quite good.
I'm never cool enough to hang out with Randall, ever. I just don't meet his criteria. Last but not
side
least,
note. Before we move on,
yes,
on the PvE side of things,
yeah,
I think the Warlock exotic submachine gun that you got in the story mission, I think that's really one of the most fun PvE weapons I've ever used in Destiny, because once you get that perk, if you don't know what I'm talking about,
it's like the
once
Zalo.
You get it was basically the Zalo perk. So if the bullets chained lightning, it activates the exotic perk, and while that perk is active, you just basically have unlimited ammo for that duration, and you don't have to reload. And it's just like, I was just holding down the trigger for like 25-30 seconds before I had to reload again once that perk was active, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is absolutely ridiculous, because I actually got really lucky that time because I activated the perk, and then right as it was about to go end, I kind of activated it again, so it just like picked back up again. But it was ridiculous. It was still a submachine gun, so it wasn't very effective at range, but it was just like I'm just holding down the trigger and shooting millions of bullets. It was fantastic.
Yep. So we have about 5 minutes to talk about PvP, and I did an entire video on it on my channel, Ditty, so I'm going to go through this super duper quick. I'll summarize by saying there's some things I really like and some things I don't really like. I love the power ammo system. I have zero complaints about this. I think it's a fantastic change. I love how shotguns are now relegated to that slot. The fusion rifle felt so stinking
Fusion's
good.
ridiculous, man. I love it.
And if you're aware, you know when the heavy's getting pulled. If you're an aware, cognizant player, like, you know when it's happening. You know when to be prepared and stay the heck out of the middle. There's a heavy emphasis on positioning. That's probably Endless Veil's fault because really small map with only 2 main sightlines to approaching the B hill. I want free-for-all, Ditty. That's the number one thing I can think of coming out of this is Destiny 2 needs free-for-all. With how positioning heavy Destiny 2, at least the control match, was on Endless Veil, I don't want to solo queue it all the time. And when I solo queue, I want some free-for-all opportunities. I think it's a huge missed thing if they don't release with Rumble or something like it. I want to see a freelance playlist in the game at all times. That way, when I solo queue into, Control or whatever, I don't have to be matching teams of 3 and 4 throughout the whole week. I was matching teams of 3 or 4. I don't mind that. I had fun, but I would prefer one of those freelance style playlists where it's like pickup groups. You understand the dynamic that you're going to have to work differently with your teammates, but there's no groups of 3 and 4 that are going to be coordinating team movements against you. The spawn flipped way the heck too much on Endless Veil, and that's a small map, I understand, but what a freaking chore having to run between A and C over and over again. Like, that wasn't really fun to me. And if you crossed into the 55-yard line, flipped, it's changing, and it's just a minute of the gameplay lost. So, I do think that they really could bring a ranked playlist into this more than ever. We have skill-based matchmaking in both aspects, both fairly heavily weighted. My ideal world is still quick play, has less SBMM, and competitive is heavily SBMM related. I don't think Healing Rift should be there, to be honest with you, at least in PvP. Seems very powerful, probably the best circle ability, I think, for all the subclasses that we got to try. The flinch values feel really high on the weapons. And I want to see connection bars in PvP and the roster while flying in. I kind of like to know when I'm matching, a solo team or a team of 4, because that does kind of dynamically affect that. Last few things, Ditty, then your turn. Sorry. Teleporting still does exist. I got shot through some walls. I was on a really awesome connection this week. It is still peer-to-peer. It does feel slightly better to me. I traded less. I traded far less with players that felt like for me when it came to situations where I clearly won the fight. But don't expect this to resolve all of the networking problems because it's still very much a peer-to-peer system, regardless of it being hybrid. And then I felt like the weapon time to kill felt a little bit long for everything, and also our health recovery time felt really long, even though it's only a half second longer than I think Destiny 1 Hunter max recovery. So all that said, I think it took a lot of steps in the right direction, and I had fun, but I don't think it's the sweet spot. That's the only thing I can say. There are some things that just feel off about it to me, and I'll end my argument there. Ditty, your turn.
I mean, I'm going to agree with a lot of what you said. I agree with the FFA, right?
Abilities. Talk about abilities, too. Sorry. I totally skipped
Sure,
that.
yeah, absolutely. I play a lot of solo queue because I play at very strange hours, like before work, and
Yeah.
It's just a strange hour for North American players, and I would love a freelance playlist. Going in solo, being matched with 7 other solo players, not having that preemptive advantage with your crew, right? I love that. I love that idea. Let's do freelance, please, because there's a lot of solo players out there that don't want to be matched against that party of 4. Healing Rift, I think is really great, but I agree with you. It does need to be a little bit tweaked because if you're trying to take B, right, you just drop Healing Rift and your entire team has healing and overshields, and it's ridiculous. But then again, you can make the argument of, well, that's what the Dawn of Light or Ward of Dawn. Oh my gosh, Ward of Dawn is, but that's a super. So I think I think we're never going to get good connections, right? You can never solve connection issues 100%. You can't do
on
it
peer-to-peer. On peer-to-peer, you can mitigate it better with dedicated.
You can, but even if we went the dedicated route, there are still going to be those matches where it's going to have issues, right? It's going to happen. Yep. I only had one player out of my entire time with the beta teleport, and it was once in the match. And I was shooting him, and he like teleported back behind the corner, and I'm like, that was really strange, and it never happened again. I never saw it happen again. So I was quite fortunate, I guess I should say, but then again, I also do play on a very good connection. I really love the emphasis on gunfights, right? You know me coming from Halo. I absolutely love gun skill, and I think it hits the nail on the head. I think there's like very valid concerns and complaints or discussions being brought up about the fact that team shooting is super important right now, and I think that could be brought down just a little bit. I would like to, as a solo player, have a chance when I'm up 1v2. Just even if it was, you have to be perfect. That didn't seem to happen very often in the beta because it was like, I'm dead because two people are there and my teammates are, capping C when we already have it. So, and then ability timers. Okay. Yes, I would have loved to use my super more. That's all I'm going to say. I would have loved to use my super more because, yes, I am used to running tier 5 intellect with that super up all the time in Destiny 1, but getting it only once a match is not great because you don't feel like a guardian, right? You just feel like, oh, here's a little piece of candy on your vegan diet, and it's ridiculous. It's like, come on, guys, I want to shoot some Nova bombs more than once a match, so I think that could be brought up just a tad.
It reminds me of how they tried to fix special ammo. They took it away.
Yeah.
So why dial these guns back when we can just make it harder for you to get the ammo? This is the hard part because, yes, I think ability timers are way too long. Okay. But the hard part of me is like this PTSD thinking about late Destiny 1 in which ability spam rules all. I want to know like where the sweet spot is because if we start going, I want to use my abilities more often, great. But we don't want to see a Bungie go back into late D1 PvP balance in which people just sprint at one another trying to fling your sticky nades and double melee away. It's just there's something off in which in tight spaces the time to kill on the primaries is high enough and players don't have nades up enough to where there's not a whole lot of punishment for when people get in close. So it gets awkward. I saw a lot of people having triple melee fights, which is hilarious. It's like they're playing patty cake. They're like, who's gonna win?
When I first had that triple melee fight, I was like, oh, 2 melees, I'm gonna get this kill because I got the first one. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna win after 2. And then after the second melee, he didn't die. I was like, oh, I guess it's 3. And then I got the kill. But it was just that slight moment of confusion. I will say this about health regen coming back. I thought it was really slow at first, but then I got like the extra set of robes and I realized, I can just change the perks to emphasize the health regen coming back. Yeah. And then it was actually all right. It was pretty decent. So
I think it's 9 seconds when it's maxed. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, okay, that's not bad. But then again, I was playing with really low regen rates. So it was like, it was just slightly worse than decent in Destiny 1, but I thought it was really good comparatively. So,
Best class, worst class, and then we'll wrap the show up.
I want to say best class Voidwalker because it was just too damn fun for me. I absolutely love the Shattering Nova Bomb and the Slova Bomb because I love calling it that now after I read it a couple weeks ago. Love it. It's so great. Worst class, man, I'm going to have to say the Gunslinger because it felt more underwhelming than I thought it would be, to be honest, as a Hunter main. As a Hunter main, I'm saying that. I thought Gunslinger was not so great. Arcstrider, I thought was actually pretty decent. I, of course, love the class ability, so I can't really, don't have a voice here, apparently, because everyone absolutely hates it.
I think Dawnblade is the best. I think the worst is Pole Dancer, dude. I seriously think Hunters are the weakest in this build by a country mile. I think Gunslinger has the potential to be the best super in the game because it's the only insta-kill, no travel time super. Only no travel time super. But I think the Hunter kit is probably the weakest in PvP, and I think Warlocks have a pretty nice kit. Titans have just awesome options all around. People who learned how to use Ward of Dawn and Control, you win. You want the point for, like, however long your bubble's up, because virtually nobody has the abilities to take them down anymore. So there's going to be
super's not up
potential.
often enough for you to take down that Ward of Dawn.
Yeah. I'll close with this. Fun beta week. I had enjoyed myself. I had a lot of fun. Well, I said that twice there, but whatever. Look, we don't know the equipment and the gear and the builds and all the stuff that's going to be in the final release. That doesn't invalidate the feedback that we give Bungie now. So we're aware of the fact that we don't know what the end game is going to look like, what all the gear and opportunities will grant us. But I had a good time, Ditty, and this was fun talking about it. And I look forward to hearing what our audience members have to say. If they want to share that feedback with us, where can they do so?
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about it at twitter.com/Ditty, DTS, DITTY, DTS, on whether or not you think that all this criticism that we've given Bungie is validating their concerns, or if it's just going against a brick wall. Also, youtube.com/wooshness, WOOOSHNESS. I've got 2 really good, high-quality, high-effort Destiny 2 beta videos on the channel. I think you'll really like it. It's about 24 minutes, but it's well worth it, I think.
Well worth it. No memes at all in that. Discord.me/Destiny the Show to join us, over 1,000 members strong, and talk about or make fun of our criticisms. We love that too. You can find all the links from today and more at DestinyTheShow.com. You can follow us on Twitter at DestinyTheShow to be updated when the latest stuff goes live. You can follow me at BBKDRAGOON on both YouTube and Twitter. Thanks for listening, Guardians. Have a good week and enjoy your last day or two with the beta. See you next time.